What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we have some really exciting updates about the Thunderbolts. If you are excited about this movie, this will get you even more excited. As we have updates about test screenings that have already happened for the movie, David Harbour, who plays Red Guardian, gives us an update, and Sebastian Stan, who of course plays Bucky, recently did an interview with Variety where he talked about the Thunderbolts, gave us a little bit more information about how he is involved with the Thunderbolts, and as it turns out, he's involved in an incredibly big way. So for those who are thinking that he might not have that much screen time or might not be that important because he's supposedly a congressman right now, don't worry, he plays a huge role. And he also talks about the state of Marvel Studios and Kevin Feige and the criticism that Marvel has been getting lately. And lately, we have been hearing a lot about Marvel Studios kind of shifting around Phase 6, canceling shows, possibly canceling some movies, or at least postponing them until after the Multiverse Saga. But today we get some really good news about the Thunderbolts all around and about Kevin Feige and Marvel. Now, a lot of people do think that this film, The Thunderbolts, does bring a lot of risk to Marvel Studios. However, I think Marvel is pretty used to this, doing team-up movies. And granted, yes, these aren't your normal Marvel characters. They're not superheroes. Many of them have been actual villains in the MCU. But I do think that the characters, at least most of them to most people, are very interesting. Yelena Belova, Red Guardian, Bucky, US Agent John Walker, and it looks like we have upgraded versions of Taskmaster and Ghost. And I personally really like a gritty type of movie with not so good people. I actually really do like this team, but David Harbour does have a message to people. If you are kind of on the fence about the Thunderbolts, and this is where we also go into the test screenings that recently happened. In an interview with comicbook.com, speaking about the Marvel critique and the fact that a lot of people view the Thunderbolts as a risk, he said this. And again, this is David Harbour, Red Guardian. He said, "Making a movie, you can't really look outside for critiques because everybody sees the poster and they have an opinion. You're like, just watch the 2-hour movie, and if you still hate it, great. Love it, great. But like, you've got to give us a chance. I think all the speculation in the world is like my fantasies about dying or what. I mean, it's like you can fantasize about horrific things or whatever until you actually see the thing." Side note, it seems like he kind of confirmed the movie is basically a 2-hour film. So it doesn't look like we're going to have, say, a 2-hour and 30-minute movie, but at least it's going to be, at the very least, 2 hours. I'm sure he's just speaking generally here, but I'm sure he knows how long the movie actually is. But keep in mind that could change as they continue to edit it, especially after the test screenings. They do typically go back and edit a few things that they think could be better based on what people do say about it. But here's what he has to say about the test screenings. He states, "I'm very proud of this movie, what we shot. I hear it's playing well internally, and I'm excited for people to see it. I think it's going to really surprise people. I think people have seen from the trailer, from the shots. I think it's a pretty cool direction of the MCU's sort of making now, and I'm excited to be a part of that." So he says that he's heard internally it's playing very well, meaning the test screenings that they have shown to people have went over really, really well with the audience. Now, if you're not familiar with how the test screenings work, typically Disney kind of just sends out emails to their employees from a lot of different branches, and they basically say, "Hey, do you want to come watch a movie?" They do not tell them what the movie is, and they do not pick people specifically who like or dislike Marvel movies. The invites are random. That way they can kind of get a mix of many different kinds of people. Some who like Marvel, some who don't like Marvel, some who are kind of in the middle. So they're just invited to the movie. They don't know what it is until it actually starts playing. So for some groups of random Disney employees who have seen the film, apparently they think that it's pretty good. And that is awesome because based off of what we have heard from some insiders, the Thunderbolts aren't going to be a one and done team. Maybe someone will die in the movie. Not sure about that. Some people are thinking that since this movie is kind of like the MCU's version of the Suicide Squad, perhaps one or maybe a few people might die. But recently what we have been hearing is that the Thunderbolts will appear in Avengers Doomsday. And also, if you haven't noticed, the Thunderbolts logo now has an asterisk at the end. And apparently, according to some insiders, the reason that it has the asterisk on it is because they actually go on to be a part of the new Avengers team. And reportedly, that is what we are going to be getting in Avengers Doomsday. And this does make a lot of sense because even though know they're kind of bad, and it seems like Valentina is kind of forcing them to do her bidding in this movie. I'm sure a lot of them really do want a shot at redemption, and what better way or what better finale for your redemption than to be with the new Avengers team. Even if you don't really like some people in a group when the whole entire multiverse is at jeopardy, for the most part, I'm sure everybody will understand that they have to unite to save it. Or specifically their Earth. When our Earth, the 616 Earth, comes into jeopardy, and you have somebody as strong as Dr. Doom being the threat to Earth, that's when everybody really needs to come together. And that's what I'm really looking forward to, the culmination of kind of all of these different groups and characters that we've seen so far. But let's dive into what Sebastian Stan has recently said about the movie, about his character in the movie, and about Marvel overall. The Variety interview says that next year he'll anchor the summer movie Thunderbolts as the leader of a squad of quirky heroes played by, among others, Julia Louis-Dreyfus and Florence Pugh. And they state, "It's easy to wonder if this has come to feel like a Cage of sorts. Not so," says Stan. His new Marvel film was kind of like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. A guy coming into this group that was chaotic and degenerate and somehow finding a way to unite them. And that is actually what Sebastian Stan said. So he is going to be the leader of this new group. Bucky is going to be the leader, despite the fact that he's a congressman right now. Then when they asked him about how everybody is kind of critiquing Marvel right now, he said, "It's become really convenient to pick on Marvel films. And that's fine, everyone's got an opinion, but they're a big part of what contributes to this business and allows us to have smaller movies as well. This is an artery traveling through the system of this entire machinery that's Hollywood. It feeds in so many more ways than people acknowledge. Sometimes I get protective of it because the intention is really effing good. It's just effing hard to make a good movie over and over again. I'm someone who has witnessed Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige as the most selfless man on this planet, who, despite the enormous success he's had, has never changed or wavered. They legitimately spend so much time thinking, how could we surprise people and give people something different? His big motto is, the best idea wins. It just comes from a good place, and that's the only reason why sometimes I get protective of it, because the intention is really good." And the last thing that he says in this is something specifically to Marvel's critics. He says, "Keep an open heart, don't judge so quickly." So I love that he's fighting for his movie. I love that he's fighting for Marvel Studios. And I definitely know that Kevin Feige is a good guy who truly does care about what they create. Yes, some things aren't going to be a hit for everybody. And yes, sometimes things just might not pan out so well. Sometimes what they thought the audience might like isn't exactly what they would like. But the Thunderbolts is sounding really, really good. And simply the idea of the Thunderbolts, when they announced it, I really liked it. I really liked the group of characters that they chose. I wish Zemo was in it, but what can you do? But as far as who we have right now, I think the potential is certainly there for this to be a great movie. And it sounds like the test screenings have gone pretty well, according to David Harbour. And so far, everybody who's talked about this movie has genuinely sounded enthusiastic about it. Sometimes you can tell that the actors who are a part of a movie aren't exactly too excited because they know it might not be so good, but in this case, most of the cast seems genuinely enthusiastic and excited about what is going to be shown on screen. And the trailers that we've seen, and even the leaked trailers that we've seen, and hopefully we get officially released to the public soon, looks fantastic. It does look dark, it looks gritty, and I think a lot of people are really gonna like it. But hey, we'll have to wait and see. But in the meantime, please let me know your thoughts about this in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you can stay up to date on all things with the MCU. And you can also find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.